Hey guys!
Welcome back to Harsh Worded Tenderhearted episode 17. Today we're going to be talking about the pivot. I was going to say the pivot year because I think, did we base it off? I don't even remember whose idea it was. I think it was yours.
It was like a TikTok I saw that was like, you need to take the pivot. The pivot will change your life. You need to start taking more pivots in your life.
Okay.
Basically what the pivot is, when you pivot, it's you're changing directions.
Yeah, like you pivot.
Yeah.
Like I literally see like a pivot in my head. Like in dance, you know?
Yeah. And it's like they usually come before like a big change happens in your life, or like the change in your life happens because you choose to pivot.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about today.
And I know that there's also like a really popular book called The Pivot Year by
Brianna Weiss.
Her. I was like, Brianna something. I haven't read that book. It is on my read list. When I was thinking about what I was going to say for this episode for the pivot, in our like list that we have planned of future episodes and topics and stuff like that, it's listed as the pivot, I think.
The pivot.
Yeah.
The one pivot.
Yeah.
Life-changing pivot.
Well, even like the pivot year.
Yeah.
It's like life-changing pivot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then I was thinking about it and I was like, I feel personally like I've pivoted many, many times in my life. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'm only 27.
Have you the pivot, do you think, yet?
I think I'm in the pivot. I think I'm right in it.
Because I was going to say, like, maybe it's like, you know, when your brain develops to 25, maybe it's like that.
See, I don't think it, I
they
thought
co-respond,
that too.
Maybe.
I thought that too. And then I turned 25 and then I pivoted. And now I'm like almost 30 and I'm pivoting again.
I heard that it happens again at 30. Yeah, 25 and 30.
Right. So now I'm kind of like, okay, wait. Which one's the real deal here? You know, like, and now I'm kind of at the edge of my seat that I'm like, okay, when is it gonna, like, am I just gonna be pivoting forever? And then I thought about it and I was like, you see people. I'm thinking of like the people in your life that are like uncles, aunts, like older kind of people that have been kind of the same for a very long time. And then they pivot when they're older and then they're like kind of just more calm. And that's kind of the only pivot they have. Mm-hmm. Like the fun aunt, the fun uncle, like whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I don't believe in, I think like a pivot year or like the pivot. I think you can like go through all these pivots and
it's like a combination of all the pivots.
Yeah. And I think some people go through less pivots in their life than others.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's, some people go through one and it shows. I remember turning like 15 and being like, oh my God, I'm pivoting.
I'm like, you remember 15?
I remember like bits and pieces of like that period of my life.
Okay.
But I remember kind of like, because I've said this before, I started therapy at 12. So I remember being at kind of like my lowest between the ages of 12 and 16. And I remember after that, I felt like I pivoted.
Okay.
Like in those last couple years, I was like, oh my God, I'm a brand new girl. Like different person. Like I've changed. Like the old me is dead and gone. And then I turned kind of around your age.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh my God, new pivot, old me dead and gone. And then I turned like 25, same thing. 27, same thing. I'm tired. But then I was like, okay, like sit with it and be comfortable with it because pivots, like you said,
they come with growth.
Yes. It means that you're growing. If you feel like you're not pivoting in your life, I think you should start to look at a pivot. It's so uncomfortable too.
It is.
It is so uncomfortable. You're literally redirecting.
You're going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing something different, something you don't know what the outcome is going to be, and that's a scary thought.
Right, or sometimes even things that you don't want to do. I remember feeling like I was pivoting and then being like, I don't want to do that though. I feel like a lot of people that only like kind of pivot, that don't pivot as much in their life or don't feel the need to pivot. I don't want to say that people, because I've met people in my life that don't really care to pivot. They don't really care to redirect. They're kind of like comfortable in their own,
like how things are.
Yeah, even if it's not great.
They're like not settling, I don't want to say, but like they're content where they are.
I wouldn't even say content. That's the problem.
It is what it is.
Like settling. Yeah. Like it is what it is. Like maybe I'm just not meant for that life.
Oh.
You know, which I think is so sad, first of all.
It is.
It's so sad because like I think pivots truly, truly come from within.
Well, yeah.
You know? And I think that people that don't pivot or don't care to pivot are still presented opportunities to pivot.
Yeah, they just don't take them.
Yeah. So I think it's like one of those things that as uncomfortable as it is, you come out better on the other side every single time. Every single time. Like, there's not a single time that you will pivot and you will feel more lost.
That's true. Like, even if things go to shit, it's like you're still gonna get through it.
Yeah.
And you're still gonna learn something from it. So it's still gonna end up, for the most part, good.
Right. And it's like a way to like kind of feel proud of yourself.
It is.
You know?
You got a sense of self-accomplishment.
Yeah. And like, it's okay to not be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. I say that a lot. But like, to take that step is very, very hard. Very, very hard. And like, it was kind of like what I was saying before about like the universe presenting you with the same situation, like the same lesson over and over again until you learn it. Pivot. If you don't want to be in that situation anymore, pivot. You know, like it's
crazy when you think about it. You can literally just change your own life.
You can.
Like,
you can. And at
any moment.
I need to stop doing it every 2 years. But because I'm
maybe space it out a little more.
Yeah, like I'm always just like so tired of pivoting because I feel like right now in my life, actually, I feel like I'm in one of those spots that I don't know where to go. I feel like I just kind of went through a pivot, but now I'm standing in the same spot, just spinning around in circles, looking at all the ways I could go, and I'm like, oh my God, where do I go? I'm kind of like taking a step in every direction, but then taking my foot back. So I think I'm like right smack dab in the middle of a pivot. And I don't know where it's going to go yet, but I think it's going to, like, it feels like somewhere I've never been before.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I know. Like, the headspace, like, the heart space, like, everything just feels like this is a place I have never been before, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's like, it's different than your other pivots.
Yes, like, completely different. And I know I said before, like, it's like when I was her age, I got the knowledge for the pivot. And then every 2 years after that, I've just kind of like forced myself to experience it instead of just saying it. And now that I've kind of forced myself to experience all of the things that I knew, it's kind of like, I don't know. I have never been here before and I'm terrified. But we're running with it and pivots are good.
Love that. I need to take more pivots.
Pivots are good.
This year's the pivot year, I think, for me.
Okay.
I think. I'm going to make it happen.
See, I love that. And then you see people that like have taken pivots in their like professional life or their work life, but then in their personal life, it's like a mess, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I don't really think that there's a singular pivot year or like a singular pivot or like, I think some are more significant than others maybe, but you really don't know until you go through it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I thought that was the end for me when I was her age. I was like, this is it. I got it.
I think it's more of a hindsight thing. I think when you're in it, you think it's the pivot, but then like you get through it and then you've experienced another one and you're like, okay, maybe this is the pivot.
With the choosing thing, like this very well could be my last pivot. What if I just never choose to pivot again?
I don't think you would do that though.
I don't think I would do that.
You wouldn't do that.
I'm like always chasing the next thing.
Yeah, you're all about growth.
Yeah. It's exhausting. Oh my God. And you know what? I'm like everybody and their mother lately. 2024 is the year of standing on business for real. Like everybody and their mother is standing on business lately. So I cannot be the one not standing on
business. Okay.
I can't be in the circus. I'm like,
you need to stand on business.
Yeah.
No kneeling, no tap dancing.
Yeah.
Me and my friends were talking about like what we think is going to happen this year and how we're like so excited but also nervous to see what's going to happen this year, because if you told us January 2023 what happened in December of 2023, we wouldn't believe you.
Yeah.
Because a lot has happened.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, like we are kind of starting fresh, knowing how much has happened in the year before and how clueless we were at the beginning of that year. We're kind of like, oh my God, like what's going to happen this year? Like what growth is going to take place? Are there going to be like new characters? Like what's going on? So we're all kind of nervous.
I'm dead.
We're all like
I'm dead.
Scared. Not scared, because I feel like if you're scared, you want something to stop.
Like eager.
Yeah.
You guys have like butterflies for the new year.
Yeah. We do.
2024 is giving you butterflies. No, I can't. No, you know what? 2024 is definitely also giving me butterflies. So like I feel. I'm not like nervous, I would say. I think I'm like having a weird start to the year. And I don't know if I'm gaslighting myself into this because have y'all seen that thing on TikTok where it's like these cardinal signs are like going through ending a 15-year.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Okay, I am a Libra double cap. Okay?
That's true.
So like, and it was so funny too because I thought about it. Okay. I'll talk my shit about a TikTok tarot card reader, but there are times where I think back to it and spirituality has genuinely saved my life. When I was in that one relationship, spirituality is the only reason I made it out of that relationship alive.
Lady Cop?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That is the only reason I made it out alive and was able to find myself again after. But I thought about it and I was like, 15 years ago, I was 12. And I have been very open about how that was the year that my life kind of started to fall apart. I was 12 years old, right? Like, there's no reason, like, there was reasons, obviously, but there was, like...
Not every 12-year-old. Like, that's not a
wants
normal
to
thing.
die. Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
a normal thing for a 12-year-old
Yeah.
to experience.
So, that's just really weird. So I don't know if I'm just, like, like, the placebo effect.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh my God, they're right. Like,
You're, like, connecting dots that, like, aren't
there.
meant to be connected.
Yeah, like invisible dots.
Yeah.
No, it's true. So, like, I don't know if I'm just losing it or if I'm actually feeling like this new thing, but I'm starting 2024 with like genuinely a fresh mindset.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Like, it's weird. What I'm also ready for this year is to kind of take a little bit more control of my life, which I think that I didn't really get good at until this past year and a half. And again, I always thought that I was in very much so control of my life and I was good at that and whatever. And then my last pivot when I was 25, I was like, holy shit, what the fuck am I doing? And then I started to kind of gain control in areas that I didn't even know I could control as much, which is another thing with pivots is like, I don't think people realize how much control they have over their growth.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You know,
I
like,
feel like a lot of people just wait for it to happen to them.
or they blame the universe, or like everybody's against me, or why do bad things always happen to me, or like waiting. I will say to everybody that walks into my life, harsh words, but nobody is coming to save you.
Oh, yeah.
Get
I
up.
know.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's coming to sweep you off your feet.
Like you are the one that you have to live with.
Yeah.
If you're not happy with the way the things are, you need to change it.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I think that's something that people need to kind of, like, explore more and realize that, like, if you want to grow, I don't care what the excuse is. There is nothing stopping you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is literally, in my books, like, no excuse unless you're, like you are given a timeline from a doctor that you're dying. You know what I'm
Fair,
saying?
yeah.
Like there is no other excuse. Yeah. Have you seen Amanda Bynes bugging out?
Again?
I don't know how old this news is, so don't quote me on the timeline. But she started a podcast.
I did not know that.
Okay, so she was like she released her first episode, and I guess she didn't get the response that she was hoping for.
What was the response?
Like, she was hoping for a bigger audience, like bigger reach.
Was it well received?
It was well received.
Okay.
Which is a
Just
good
not
thing.
as big as she thought it was going to be.
Yes.
Okay.
So she decided, she kind of like announced, it was like very messy. Like, she was like, I'm going to stop the show. I'm going to keep going the show. I'm going to stop the show. I'm going to keep going with it.
Yeah.
And she was saying, she made an announcement that she's like appreciative that the first episode was received so well. She thought about taking a break, but everybody in her life kept encouraging her to keep doing it. So she was going to keep doing it. So then she was like, I don't know the actual timeline, but it was very mixed. And then she came up with something saying that she couldn't get the guests that she wanted, like Drake, and like started naming off all these people. But she was only one episode in.
Okay.
So it's like, girl, you know what I'm saying?
Getting
like,
a little
it's
ahead
like,
of yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then she apologized.
Wait, shouldn't she already have planned out all the topics and like all the episodes?
Well, you think, right? I think
Does she have
was
a team? Like, wouldn't she have a team to like?
You think
Should I do
Amanda
that?
Bynes too, of all people? But like, she, I guess, was hoping, like, decided to just come out with the first one, and I guess hoped everything else fell into place.
Okay.
Or like people would be like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which is funny because I didn't even know about the podcast when it first came out. And I grew up on the Amanda Show. So like, I actually was like a fan of Amanda Bynes since I was younger. So if I knew, I would have watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so new. But she ended up coming back out and apologizing for what she said about not being able to get the guests.
Oh.
Like, she was like, yeah, like, I think like I'm getting ahead of myself. Like, it's just, I think I just need to give it some time.
Yeah.
And then she comes out again with an Instagram story saying the first episode of my podcast did really well, which she said already. I was actually surprised and, of course, going to keep going after friends encouraged me to, which she's already said. She said, after thinking about it, though, I would rather get my manicurist license and have a consistent job. I'm going to follow that path instead. Thank you for following.
She's going to be a nail tech?
Because the first episode, I love Amanda Bynes, but like
Is she
it's
okay?
just so she's stopping the podcast to get her manicurist license.
To be a nail tech.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going. Like I don't
I
think
hope she's okay.
I know. That's I don't.
Especially Amanda Bynes. Like, I hope she's okay.
I don't think she's okay again.
Oh, man.
Like I'm just kind of like, wait, what? Like,
Because that's very, like...
it was like so erratic and like manicurist license. What?
It's giving, like, hyperfixation.
Yeah, and giving like a, oh well, that didn't work out. I'm just gonna be a manicurist then. I guess that's all I'm good for. I'm scared.
No shade to the manicurist. I love my nail tech.
Yeah.
But, like, Amanda...
Yeah, you're not a nail tech.
Yeah.
Amanda. Like, you're not. And I don't think she also realizes that she's still Amanda Bynes. Even though
that's true.
You know, like people would have found the podcast, it would have grown and whatever. Now you're a nail tech. People are still gonna know you as Amanda Bynes. I'd be like, oh my god, let's go get our nails done by Amanda Bynes. Like,
oh my god, podcast concept. She should do a podcast while doing people's nails.
Stop, like the chicken shop date.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's actually.
Should I go into PR?
You should, and you should message Amanda
Marketing.
Bynes.
Be like, listen, I know how you can get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like, you can't tell me that Drake wouldn't like getting a manicure.
By Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
You're like, you want Drake on your show? I'll get Drake on your show. Okay, so that is all we have for today. Thank you for watching and or listening. Make sure you are watching to see the same outfits we've worn before.
While you're doing that, make sure to follow us on all of our socials at HWTH Pod.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.